So if you've paid any attention to anything I've said, you'll know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been terrible on foreign policy. The adults are back in charge when they're not asleep at the beach biting babies or going on Call Her Daddy, and they've dedicated their lives to making America a laughingstock on the world stage. And I'm not even talking about Joe Biden calling Zelensky Putin or Kamala Harris talking about whether or not she's been to Europe.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
I'm talking about the Afghanistan withdrawal, which should have been presidency ending. I'm talking about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which, yes, was Biden and Harris's fault. And I'm talking about the Middle East exploding into chaos because Biden and Harris have been more worried about losing votes in Michigan. Our enemies are busy building out their military, and what have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris been doing? Making sure our military goes woke, because who cares about keeping Americans safe at home and abroad when you've got DEI to worry about?
Happy Pride. Happy Pride Month, and actually, let's declare it a summer of pride.
And meanwhile, China is flying under the radar, and with Harris in charge, I kind of mean that literally. And this is why I spend a lot of my time talking about foreign policy, because the one person in the White House might not create jobs or end homelessness or save us from Anthony Fauci, but they can definitely decide what role America plays in the world. And what makes Biden and Harris, which is essentially the third Obama administration at this point, what makes them so dangerous isn't just the high-level weakness, it's the politicization of institutions here at home. Just like they use the DOJ and the IRS to push their agenda, they're doing the same with national security. And one example is a supposedly independent government body called CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. It's headed by the Secretary of the Treasury, inflation is transitory, Janet Yellen, and is meant to review foreign companies who want to invest in the US and point out any potential national security issues. Now, you'd think they'd be busy combing through Hunter Biden's Venmo, but no, they've been playing politics, this time with a Japanese company's multi-billion-dollar bid for US Steel. And where is US Steel based? Pennsylvania, the state that's probably going to decide this election. Totally unrelated. How weird that Biden said he'd sink the merger right after unions opposed it, even though this sale might be the only way to keep US Steel going, along with the tens of thousands of Americans it employs. And even though a bunch of national security experts have actually said this would strengthen our fight against China. Oh, and the committee's decision has been delayed until after the election. What another fascinating coincidence. We've seen this before, right? Using national security as a catch-all excuse to play politics without really any pushback. And that's what's really going on here. A lawyer for CFIUS, not involved in the case, even said that the issues brought up by the committee don't really even fall in the national security bucket. Instead, he said they fall into nationalistic trade protectionism and, yes, electoral politics. Here's the thing. People like Kamala Harris love to talk about strengthening alliances and international collaboration and happy, clappy world unity so we can oppose our enemies together. And that's exactly what this Japanese company wants, to build on the close relationship between Japan and the United States to create a stronger global competitor to China and their supply of cheap steel. But when push comes to shove and there's an election to win, politics always comes first. And who really wins? China, as usual.